So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about why I waited almost 1 full year from the time my now ex-wife asked for a separation before I began dating other people. You may not want to wait that long. You may have already started dating other people, but there are a lot of things to think about, a lot of considerations, including one that could wind you up in legal hot water with your soon-to-be ex-spouse. And we're covering all of that today in this video. Hi, I'm Jeff Campbell from DivorcedParentsClub.com, and I'm on a mission to help other people who are going through or who have already gone through a divorce navigate this new world that we're living in and all of the things that are now fresh and new and happening that we never had to think about before when we were married to somebody else. Anyway, back to today's question. I did indeed wait almost 1 full year from the time my wife asked for a divorce. She asked for that divorce at the end of April 2021, and I didn't begin dating anyone until kind of late March of 2022, so almost a year later. Now, you may not want to wait that long. You may have already started dating other people, but there are some key things to think about. The first thing that people ask is it okay to date while you're separated, but the divorce actually hasn't gone through yet? I did not do that, although my ex-wife did do that. And I made a conscious choice to not date while I was still technically and legally married, even though we both knew the divorce was coming, the paperwork was being drawn up, we were waiting on the judge to sign it and all that. We knew that was pending. There was not a doubt in my mind that it was happening. I just didn't feel quite right about doing it while I was still technically and legally married. Technically and legally, that is infidelity. And yes, once many years ago, back in 2013, I did actually cheat on my wife. Not something I'm proud of, not something that I ever did again after that. Does that make me a hypocrite? I don't think so. I think we live and we learn and we grow, and all we can really hope for is to not repeat the same mistakes we've already made once. And that's certainly been my goal. But I did make a conscious choice not to date until the divorce decree was actually signed off by the judge. Again, my ex-wife didn't do that. Doesn't bother me in the slightest, but it is a choice that I made. Now, how long do the experts say you should wait? Either from the point of separation or the point of divorce. It's also worth pointing out that some states do have what they call legal separation, where you can actually file paperwork to say that you are legally separated. Other states, like the state where I live in, which is Texas, does not offer that. So that is a consideration, something you'll want to talk about with your lawyer. But how long should you wait from either the point of separation or the point of divorce before you start to date, if you have any hope of that being successful? And the experts all say a minimum of 6 months. For me personally, I don't think that's long enough, because in order for that relationship, that next relationship, to actually be successful, a few things have to happen, a few key things. For one, you have to be 100% completely over your ex. I am completely over my ex now. In fact, some days I don't even recognize the person that she's become, and I question why we were ever in a relationship to begin with. Doesn't mean I dislike her, doesn't mean I don't want to have a friendly, amicable co-parenting relationship with her, but she's not the person I used to think that she was, and those feelings of love that I had for her are no longer there. That's one key way for me to know that it's okay to start dating other people. And I just don't think you can get that if you don't wait long enough. Now, I did mention the difference between separation and divorce, and that some states do have legal separation. If you're in one of those states that has legal separation, I do think it's okay to go ahead and date while you're separated, as long as you built it into the separation agreement that it's okay to date other people while you're going through the process of divorce. If you don't have that protection, in certain states, it could definitely be used against you by a contentious ex and their, money-hungry attorney. They could slap you with infidelity charges and make your life more difficult than it would have otherwise been. So for me personally, I'm not going to recommend that you date while separated unless you have legal separation in your state and you've built that into the agreement. Real quick, before we keep going, if you like this video and you want to see other videos like it, click that like button, then smash the subscribe button and the bell notification button too. That way you get notified of future videos like this one. YouTube will start to show you more videos that are custom tailored to what you like to see, and it also helps me grow my channel and help more people. So is the first relationship that you have after you've split up from your ex always a rebound? That's another big question that people want to know the answer to. And the short answer is no. The first relationship you have doesn't have to be a rebound. And what is a rebound? A rebound is basically just when you're not over your ex, but they don't want you back and you can't get them back, but you are desperate for that emotional and physical intimacy that you had with them. And so you look for that in somebody else. It almost doesn't matter who that other person is to a degree. And at first, you feel that intense rush of feelings. It just feels good to feel wanted again, and it feels good to have sex again, if I'm being honest. And it feels good to be able to have that closeness, that connectedness. All of that feels great. The trouble is, it's not really real because you're not over your ex yet, and you're still secretly hoping for them to come back. And eventually, as the clouds in your brain begin to clear, and you realize that this person you're having the rebound with isn't your ex, and they're not really who you really want to be with, and then those feelings dissipate really quickly. That's what a rebound is. The first relationship after you split up doesn't have to be a rebound, but it often is with people because they tend to rush this process. So the real key is to not engage in any sort of relationship as long as you still have feelings for your ex. As long as you still have those feelings of unrequited love and you want them back secretly, or maybe not so secretly, as long as you're feeling that way, you should not engage in a relationship with someone else. It's just going to end badly. It's not fair to them, and it's not fair to you. So what's the success rate of that first relationship following a breakup? 93% of people do indeed engage in a new relationship within the first 13 months after that initial date of separation. So within 13 months, 93% of people do engage in a new relationship. Unfortunately, going back to the rebound topic we were just talking about, the average lifespan of those relationships is only 2 months. 2 months long, and then it's done. And then you're kind of left holding the bag again. You're kind of going through some of the same emotional processes that you did with the earlier breakup all over again. And again, the best way to avoid that is to wait a long enough period of time following your breakup with your spouse. For me, that was 1 year. But you definitely want to be 100% over them before you dive into a relationship with someone else. Otherwise, it is almost certainly doomed to failure. So we talked about time frame of how long to wait, and we talked about wanting to get over your ex completely before dating anyone else. But what are some of the other keys to success in a new relationship following a breakup? The first one I think is huge, and that is get comfortable being alone. I spent almost 1 year being completely alone, completely away from any sort of emotional or physical intimacy with another person. I found myself getting comfortable going out to the movies by myself, going to restaurants by myself, going out and doing things by myself, going to concerts by myself, doing things like that. Get comfortable being alone. If you've been in a long-term relationship for a long time, you're often used to doing things together 100% of the time, and then when you first start to do something by yourself, it feels a little funny, it feels a little foreign, it feels a little uncomfortable. I want you to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. Then I want you to focus on yourself. Be the best version of you that you can be. What do I mean by that? Well, for me, I began to exercise a lot more every day. I began to walk 2 miles a day. I began to hit the gym every day. I started doing intermittent fasting where I didn't eat until 12 noon each day. I started eating smaller portions. The net result of all of that is I dropped about 26 pounds over the course of only about 2 months, and I've kept it off well over a year later at this point. But I also started meditating every day. I started going back to martial arts classes a few times a week, which I had done for years prior to that. I started reconnecting with friends and with family. All of those things tend to fall by the wayside when you're in a committed long-term relationship. It's just natural that you start to focus all your time and your energy on your spouse and maybe your kids, maybe the house, maybe your career, and the things that brought you joy, the things that made your spouse fall in love with you initially, those things tend to fall by the wayside. And that's the sad truth of the reality of relationships, is the things that attracted us to each other, we tend to stop doing, and then we wonder why we're no longer as attracted to them as we used to be. So get back to doing the things that bring you joy. Get back to focusing on being the best version of you that you can be, not to attract anyone else, but because you want to feel that way about yourself. Next, I want you to not look to someone else for you to feel complete, for you to feel like a whole person. You need to feel complete in and of yourself. You don't need anyone else to complete you. You don't need anyone else to make you happy. Only you can do that. And every time you look to someone else to make you happy or to feel complete, you're setting yourself and them and the relationship up for failure. Lastly, I want you to break your patterns, break your habits. If you want new and better results with this next relationship you're going to find, you've got to do things differently than what you've done in the past. If every relationship you've been in has failed, which is true for me, then in order to have a successful relationship, I've got to do things differently. I've got to change the way my brain thinks. I've got to change the patterns in which I interact with people. I've got to maybe change the kind of person that I'm typically attracted to and look for different qualities. In my life, I've always had a tendency to be drawn to women who quote unquote needed fixing, because if I could fix them and make them whole and complete, and if I was the one that did that, then maybe they would love me and never leave me. And that's the truth of it, because my own insecurities, my fears of abandonment that are all rooted in childhood issues. And so in order to find a successful relationship, I have to stop doing those things. I have to look for someone who doesn't need fixing, because the truth is you can't fix anyone else, nor should you try. It's a setup for failure. Look for someone who is already whole and complete. You be whole and complete. Then it's two whole, complete people coming together, having a spectacular relationship. That's what you want. That's what I want. And the best way to do it, in my opinion, is to make sure you've waited enough time following the breakup with your ex. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video.